Hello. That's the little drummer boy. Do you hear what I hear? But you were saying, do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? I found another Mandela effect. I'm sure that started off, do you hear what I hear? There we go. Might have had kind of a live experience Mandela effect. I'm absolutely sure that said, do you hear what I hear? When it starts, let's start that again. I hope I'm not creating a Mandela effect with this. Well, maybe that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm sure that said, do you hear what I hear? And the reason I was playing it is because I want to talk about the ear-ringing and tinnitus or Meniere's disease, or there's a million and one different kind of names that doctors, give to try and explain this disorder. And there's a whole myriad of different kind of so-called remedies, which aren't really remedies. One of which I have incredible personal experience with, and that's to do with grommets. And yeah, they're little things that they put inside your ears. That's my battery kind of flicking. I'm getting all sorts of interference today. Yeah, I'm just going to try and make this quick because I've only got a little bit of battery. So yeah, I had these grommets put inside my ears to help me when I was young. And a while ago, I began to see that it actually hindered me. You know, it actually really fucked me up. There was another couple of operations that I kind of had inflicted on me when I was younger. Which I see kind of just how they have messed with my energetics. But the ear thing, I had grommets. So if anyone else out there, and I really do have this suspicion that there is going to be a lot of people that have had this procedure done, that apparently these things just drop out of your ear. But yeah, that causes imbalance. And yeah, I had it, and I've still got it to a certain extent. I'm clearing myself out, and it's taken me a long time and a lot of different kind of methods and techniques, you know, to yeah, become more balanced, not so reactive. That's how I used to be, you know, really, really reactive to things. But I'm using that kind of that art transmutation at the moment, and if it hadn't have been for them fucking me up, you know, by putting that thing in my ear and kind of me having that whole thing my whole life, and non-coincidentally, I went along to a research thing. You know, I live in Oxford, and there's certain research things that come up where you can go and be a volunteer and take part in these kind of these research things. I've never taken anything. I never would take anything to kind of, and it wasn't ever really about money. That was kind of nice, you know, to have to be paid for your time. But yeah, one particular one I did was about hearing, and if I would have carried on with the research, I would have had to just worn an earplug for a few days a week, or I think it was for quite a while. And part of the study was where you'd sit in a soundproof room where you were surrounded by different speakers. I think it was 16 maybe 18 speakers all around, and they would play a tone through one of the speakers, and you would say which speaker it was. And it's to do with spatial awareness and kind of how you indeed know where sounds are coming from. So I got to learn about this stuff, and it was really interesting. But I was unable to move forward with the study because, I couldn't get that part of the study down. I couldn't really figure out where the sounds were coming from. But yeah, the idea was they did the same study many years before, where they got someone and they blocked one of their ears. They plugged one of their ears, or put a plug in one of their ears, and after a short while, the brain begins to reprogram itself, so you can gain back that spatial awareness by only using one ear. And yeah, the research they told me about was they did this research, and this person, it was a month or however long where this person kind of would block their ear for a prolonged period of time. They would go in and kind of do these tests with all the speakers, and like I say, the brain reprograms itself, so the ability to know where sounds are coming from was actually switched to one side, or just through one side. But the fascinating thing was, 5 years after the study, the same volunteer, they invited them back, and they plugged their ear, and within hardly any time at all, that person was able to straight away again determine where the sounds were coming from. And it was all to do with kind of people going deaf in one ear and things like that. But yeah, the fact that we can create this new program and new ability was fascinating, you know, and non-coincidental that I was just kind of able to kind of go along and meet these people and this thing. It was just a synchronicity, you know, and so my whole ringing ears, you know, blurry eyes, everything like that, I know that it is just my brain reprogramming itself and coming back to its original state, you know, or this feels like I was ill, you know, I was really ill, and I had no idea I was ill until I started healing, and that's a very, very common theme, you know, and thinking that you're totally healed is also another really common theme, or thinking that you're awake, you know, is a really common theme. I've had glimpses at awakening, so I know where I'm going to. I've had glimpses at perfect health, so I know that I'm still working towards that, you know. I've been given that goal, and I've had those times of full awareness, but it's just a trailer, you know, for how things are going to be once I'm kind of done with kind of going through this Maya, you know, going through the Maya Matoti, the dream fog, you know. I'm coming out of it now, and I see that. I see the end is in sight, and I love the expression, you only have to go halfway into a dark wood before you start to come out the other side. What else was I going to talk about? Yeah, I've got a few comments just in the last couple of days of videos I've been doing, which is really nice, and I identify with all of them, and I'm glad that kind of this little experiment that I'm doing with this channel is kind of paying off. Well, I always knew it would, but the whole idea of fakery, you know, on the internet, or fakery in reality, is what really kind of jarred me and kind of coerced me into doing this. You know, seeing so many people that make a big production out of certain things, you know, and all they are is just things. We give our meaning to these things. yeah, where was I going? Yeah, I was talking about earringing, and I wanted to talk more about that. And I feel like I've been really thrown off, and I've kind of got a bit of a scrambled signal being thrown at me. Um, but yeah, hydrogen peroxide really, really helps. Neti potting really helps. That's the nasal irrigation. Getting all of that kind of mucous membrane cleared out, that just really, really helps. Um, what else? Yeah, so the grommet thing, I'd be really curious to know if anybody else had that done, when they were younger. Because I had problems with mucus and kind of my ears and all sorts when I was a kid, and the doctor's solution was to kind of, yeah, put this thing in there and make sure that is eustachian tubes open all the time, or whatever it was. But it fucked me up. Do you know what I mean? And I know now that I'm recovering from it that, yeah, and like I say, whether or not that was done on purpose to hinder me, the fact that I'm kind of waking up and kind of, it needed to be that kind of severe in a way. So it's a kind of Ouroboros like kind of cyclic thinking kind of trap. Me thinking, well, did they do that on purpose? Because if they hadn't have done that, then I wouldn't have actually noticed that I was so imbalanced. And the fact that I'm so imbalanced and I've actually kind of healed, it has told me a lot about myself, you know. So yeah, everything is a kind of blessing in disguise, or it can be, you know. But I'm going to leave that there for today. I've just got to 11 minutes, and that's a nice little sign. But yeah, I just wanted to say a little bit more about kind of the earringing, and yeah, it does subside, and I truly believe that it's kind of just expansion, you know. And when you're kind of hearing something that you've never heard before, it's kind of